What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wildcast podcast. Justin Spears here with Micah Lev. We'll be talking about Arizona Wildcats football senior day, the home finale for the Arizona Wildcats as they get ready to take on the Baylor Bears. We'll be joined by our guy Jordan Hamm later on in the podcast for Big 12 Bonanza, or which is now retitled Big 12 Bruh, or Big 12, what'd you call it? Bewilderment, Lev?
Bewilderment, befuddlement, Big 12 blurred.
Yeah, just not good.
Yes.
Not good.
It's not been great. We all kind of rebounded a little bit this past week. So maybe there's some positive momentum heading into the penultimate week of the regular season.
By the way, make sure you subscribe to the Wildcast podcast if you're listening to this. We greatly appreciate it. And if you can, leave us some kind words. Like if you're an Apple podcast user, leave us a comment, review, do all that. Leave us 5 stars on all the platforms. And then make sure to find the video version on Tucson.com as well. And get a subscription to Tucson.com. And with a sub, man, it makes the Wildcaster mobile app 100 times easier and 100 times better. It's awesome. And then you can have a sports only sub as well. So, and make sure you download the Wildcaster app as well. Lots of good stuff there.
Yeah, we've never read podcast review comments on the pod, but if people left some fresh ones
why not?
For us, we would totally do that and talk about it and have a good old time with it. So
that'd be awesome.
Please feel free to drop us some comments. And of course, we always welcome your questions about football and other matters. And we will address more of those next week. I think we'll probably do only one pod next week because of Thanksgiving. Yeah. We'll do a mega pod either Tuesday or Wednesday with a mailbag and the last round of regular season Big 12 Bonanza selections.
Hell yeah, man. Lev, you know what's crazy is, we were talking about for Arizona, like bowl game, like what they could go to. And after this win over Cincinnati, it kind of seems like sky's the limit. Like we were talking outside of the college football playoff, of course, but like we're talking about, okay, Sun Bowl, okay, maybe the LA Bowl on December 13th. I mean, if they win these next 2 games, like if they finish the season 9-3, why not go back to the Alamo Bowl? Which, I mean, they could represent the Pac-12, right? In that case, because they're still affiliated to the Pac-12. So they could face another Big 12 team in that case, which would really be something. And then, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is, it kind of seems like a reach, but it's not impossible, right? So it's very interesting to see where Arizona's at right now because you could really think, I mean, realistically, this team could win the next 2 games, finish the season 9-3, and then it'll be very interesting to see where they go bowl-wise. I mean, I thought it was going to be Sun Bowl, LA Bowl for sure, but now it seems like Arizona's got some more options.
I want to say the Holiday Bowl's in play also.
Holiday Bowl too, which would be awesome.
That's another one. I think the problem with the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and there are very few problems with the Pop-Tarts Bowl because it's awesome, but I think it's on the same day as the Arizona Bowl.
Oh, right? Yeah. So, and that's why I said the New Mexico Bowl too would also be bad because that's also on the same day as the Arizona Bowl.
Yeah, that would present some conflicts for Justin and myself as we cannot be 2 places at once, cannot cover 2 bowls at the same time. But yeah, I think the last line of my 5 takeaways after this last game was something about how the possibilities seem almost infinite now for what this team and this season and maybe this program can become. I just saw that like 3 or 4 of the recruits in the 26 class have been upgraded from 3 to 4 stars.
Yeah.
So now they have 5 4-star players in their recruiting class, which is inching up toward the top 30 nationally. So, man, Brent Brennan's got it going on.
Good evaluation,
now, right? Like,
good evaluation.
And think of the discussions we were having a year ago, 11 months ago, about him and the program. Things weren't looking good. We were wondering whether he was going to be a one and done. I think it turned out to be the right decision by Desiree Reed-Francois, who's made a lot of good decisions since she's become the athletic director here, to stick with Brent Brennan, to cast a vote for continuity. And now they're headed to a bowl game. They've got a good recruiting class. They just have a lot of positive momentum as a program, which certainly was not the case at the end of the 24 season.
Well, and there were also, like, you look at the coaching staff as well, and with all due respect to those guys, like, there were some glaring weaknesses or just some things that needed to be fixed. And Arizona shuffled the deck. They got the right coordinators in place. Like, to hear the way Seth Dagey talks about Noah Fafita, I don't think I've ever heard an Arizona offensive coordinator talk about a quarterback like that. Like, he's talking about him like, he is my little brother. I love him. He is like family to me. And I look at like our relationship, like I'm his big brother, I'm his mentor. I need to lay out the path for him to be successful, not just at Arizona, but beyond the U of A. And so to hear that relationship and just the way that Seth talks about Noah with so much like respect and revere, like it's really cool. And then, Danny Gonzalez, the job that he's done with that defense, Lev, I mean, you talked about it earlier on Spears and Ali, passing defense. I mean, they're tops in the Big 12 right now, which is going to make this weekend against Baylor an awesome sight to see. That's going to be a heavyweight battle. But as far as like passing defense, didn't it go from like 93 or what was it? Like
103 to number 7.
To number 7.
Yeah. Yes. In this week's Cat Stats, it's just kind of like an ode to the defense and looking at how much they've improved since last year, where they rank historically among other Arizona defenses, and not to give it all away, but there are a couple of stats that have not been achieved by an Arizona defense since 1995.
Whoa.
That would be 30 years ago. That would be the heart of the Desert Swarm era. We're talking Teddy Bruschi. Joe Salaveo was a player on that team. So truly historical stuff. Now, of course, like Baylor could go put up 400 yards of passing in this game on Saturday, and it wouldn't really surprise anyone. I don't think anyone would be all that disappointed as long as Arizona came away with a W, and we'll, of course, pick the game a little bit later in the show. But, yeah, they are really doing some amazing stuff on that side of the ball, especially when it comes to pass defense.
Yep.
Holding the opposition to under 6 yards per pass attempt. That hasn't been done in a long time. They have a negative, I guess you would say, touchdown to interception ratio as a defense. That hasn't been done in a really long time either. I detail all that stuff in the Cat Stats feature, which people should check out. But I don't know. I can't sit here and say that like I know how good of a job every assistant coach has done across the country for the Broyles Award. But I cannot imagine that a coach has done a better job than Danny Gonzalez has done with this defense this year.
Yeah. And it goes to Brent Brennan for making the decisions to put the guys in the right place. Like, hey, I got to get an offensive coordinator for Noah. And he got the perfect fit in Seth Dagey. He got a really good defensive coordinator in Danny Gonzalez. Craig Nivar is a dog as well. And so he got the right coaches in place. Big Joe Salavea as the defensive line. Despite the injuries and despite those guys being shorthanded, I thought the defensive line has been pretty solid for the most part. They've had their ups and downs for sure, but I think it's much better this year than it was last year. So everything's in the right place. And like you said, Lev, those guys in that recruiting class, they got elevated to 4 stars. Now, with that being said, realistically, in the world of college sports, there's going to be other schools that are poking at these kids like, hey, how much is Arizona giving you? Hey, why don't you come over here? So it's going to be very interesting to see how it gets to the finish line for the early signing period. But it says a lot about this staff, Lev, where they've added a little over 60 newcomers, a lot from group of 5 FCS levels. And then those guys have been big-time contributors for Arizona this year. And then these guys that they have in the 2026 recruiting class, the fact that they're getting elevated and they're moving up these recruiting rankings, I think it says a lot about Geiska Crowley, Fletcher Kelly, the coaching staff, like everybody who's involved in evaluating talent. And yeah, you may not, have the money or whatever to go after, this super great 5-star player that's going to be, going to Georgia or Ohio State or whatever. But I think this coaching staff has shown that they can evaluate talent and they can bring guys here that can really succeed.
We are recording this podcast on Wednesday, November 19th. The early signing period starts in 2 weeks.
It's crazy, right? It's approaching.
Right? December 3rd through December 5th. So one of the reasons they moved it up was that very reason, like because the big schools would come in and poach. It's a little kind of an unsavory process. There's a whole new element now, of course, with money being involved in an over the table kind of way, as opposed to under the table back in the day. But yeah, this is this. It's not just Brennan and his staff. It's Geiska Crowley and Fletcher Kelly, like the front office.
Yeah,
and they have a bunch of like assistants too, who are breaking down film and looking at numbers and all kinds of stuff. Geiska came over from UNLV, where Brent Brennan was just an admirer of his work as an opponent in the Mountain West Conference. And he's a super sharp guy, like with a big and extensive scouting background. Like if you want to nerd out on football, like sit down and talk to Geiska Crowley, because that'll be a fun conversation for you to have. But yeah, they also, I mean, look, they did a great job. Brent did a great job with the staff. They also did a very good job, I think, in the portal this last year. If you look at the offensive line, you look at the defensive front, you look at the cornerback position, a bunch of dudes who are added to the team. Wide receiver, that's another spot.
Yeah.
Veteran players who'd been there and done that, not necessarily at this level, but they had college production, they had measurables, and they had maybe a hunger, a desire to prove themselves on this level. And they've hit on way more of those guys than they missed.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Deshaun McKnight, defensive tackle, the guys that they added on the offensive line, like kind of DeCambra coming in and never playing center before. And he's been rock solid at that position all year long as kind of like the quarterback of the offensive line. So, and like you said, Lev, like all these guys are coming in from non-Power 4 schools, Group of 5, FCS. And then additionally, Lev, I think it says a lot about the evaluation of talent that Arizona is getting contributions from freshmen. Like Gio Richardson has made some big catches this year. We've seen Mace Pesse get in the mix. Myron Robinson started ahead of Max Harris and was playing well until he got injured last week. And so you were starting to see like the younger players start to implement themselves. And that's really good for Arizona's future, because when they get into like spring ball or training camp, and then you have these newer players that are coming in, guys like Gio Richardson, they can be like, no, I can go first in these reps, and they can kind of lead the way. So I think they have a really good collection of players. I think they have really good momentum right now. And man, what better way to continue that momentum than to cap the home schedule with a win over Baylor. They're 5-1 at home, Lev. So they've got a really good home record, but they've got a really tough Baylor team coming to town. And by the way, we are doing a new feature on the Wildcast podcast. So I just fired up my PlayStation 5, and I've got the simulation of Baylor versus Arizona running right now. And we're in the middle of the second quarter. Baylor's got a 7-0 lead. Now, I did the best I could to like change the depth chart a little bit. Like I took out Trey Smith. It didn't look good for Tristan Bounds. So I put Matthew Lotto at right tackle. I've tried to do my best to, really simulate how this game is going to look. And as of now, with just over 9 minutes left in the second quarter, Baylor has a 7-0 lead. But
I say surprisingly low scoring, because this is the highest over under on the board for the Big 12 this week at 61.5. The next highest is the Kansas-Iowa State game at 55.5. So I expect some touchdowns to start happening here soon during the simulation. We'll have more updates from the studio as the podcast progresses here.
Well, Traydon Stukes just recorded an interception.
Okay. Maybe a turning point.
Or no, Genesis Smith. Sorry, got the other number 2 in there. So
Well, I
we'll see.
say, like in real life, IRL, Baylor is last in the Big 12 in turnover margin at -10. So, if it's in the game, it's in the game, right?
Yeah. But you know what? Like, Cincinnati going into last week, everyone, the talk was Brendan Sorsby. Wait, you said Baylor was last in the league?
Yeah, they're last. Yeah,
Oh, so they have
they're
a
the
bunch.
worst.
They have a
Yeah, they're
bunch
the
of
worst.
turnovers. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought you were saying that
Yeah,
they
no,
don't.
it's the reverse of Cincinnati. Yeah, they have the fewest takeaways, or tied for the fewest takeaways, and they have the most giveaways.
Yeah.
So that is not a that is not
But
a
yet,
good competition.
but yet they have the number 1 passing offense, and they put up a ton of yards and a lot of points. So, kind of like a as Barkley is letting his opinion be heard, kind of like a no risk it, no biscuit offense, which is very kind of typical of Baylor, right? Like that's always just kind of been Baylor's MO. Now, Dave Aranda, he's a defensive-minded coach, and Seth Nagy said that that's going to be a challenge moving the ball on those guys.
He's being nice.
But with that being said, I'm really this whole thing is interesting, Lev, because I feel like Arizona's playing against a desperate team right now because they have this week and then next week to get to bowl eligibility. Next week they got to play against Houston, and that's going to be a really tough game. And
I don't know if they finish 6-6. I'm still not sure it's going to be enough to save Dave Aranda's job.
Okay.
I mean, there's a variable in there that they don't have an athletic director right now, and I think more likely than not, Mac Rhodes is going to be dismissed and let go. So they're going to be on the lookout for a new AD. That delays everything. That could buy Dave Aranda another year. I think they also have a lot of departing players, like seniors on this team, especially on that explosive offense. So weird time for Baylor, but I don't disagree with the idea that was promoted during the week by the coaches that this is maybe, the most or one of the most talented 5-5 teams in the country. I mean, they put up over 500 yards of offense against Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not nothing. And Sawyer Robertson, he's got the most touchdown passes in the league. He's got the most passing yards in the league. Josh Cameron is second in the league in receiving yards per game, 74.6. He's really good. Michael Trigg's really good.
Michael Trigg is really good.
Bryson Washington is also a really good running back. So I don't know. I feel like going into this game that Arizona's offense is going to have to score at least 30,
34, maybe
more.
I think they got to get to 34.
Win? 34. Okay.
Yeah, that's the magical number for me, and I think they will get to 34. Just because that's kind of in the ballpark of what they're averaging right now, which is a remarkable turnaround last year. Because last year it felt like they couldn't even sniff 30 points, and now here they are consistently scoring over 30. But yeah, I feel like the way that the team is injured right now, I mean, there's just a lot of questionable guys.
Arizona, you're talking about?
Yeah, Arizona. I feel like works against Arizona. We'll see what the availability report looks like. Again, we're recording this Wednesday afternoon, so we'll see it coming up here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if those guys are banged up, but then again, like Tia Savea was banged up, and I was like, man, I don't know. That's a big part of the defensive line, and they still figured out ways to stop the run. So if anything, I will never, ever doubt Danny Gonzalez and his ability to scheme up things and coach. And, this one thing about this Arizona defense is that they take the punches and then they make the adjustments, and they just are lights out in the second half. So
wasn't it interesting to hear him talk about how he watches the game, like what he's able to look at? Like he can only see like his side of the field. He kind of looks at the line play a little bit, and he gets help for kind of other stuff that's going on. He talked a lot about just the communication that happens among him and his other coaches. So lots of credit to Danny, but it's a total team effort over there, and he's got a guy in Josh Bringale, linebacker, who's kind of a linebacker coach, who's kind of his protege, right? You've got someone in Joe Salavea, who's been there and done that for years and years. Brett Arcee is a really sharp coach, safety. Chip Viney, I think, has done a really good job coaching up the corners. I'm sure there's some others that I'm leaving out. But yeah, it's really been something to see that they'll struggle early on in a game, and they just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
They figure out figure out what the issue is, and then they attack it. He said too that in that Cincinnati game, it was happening so fast that there wasn't even time to adjust.
Yeah.
They just kept hitting him with big play after big play. So that's why, again, the offense is going to have to do its part in this one, because I don't think, I'd be surprised if they held Baylor under 20. Their average points allowed per game is right around 20. Baylor's probably going to score more than that.
Yeah.
I think the running game could be a huge factor in this one. 3 straight games, quietly, Arizona's had 165 or more rushing yards. 3 times this season, Baylor's given up 265 or more in a game. And against Auburn in the opener, 307. Cincinnati had 265. And Utah had 380 this last week. So, again, run the rock. Set up your passing attack. Keep Baylor's offense off the field. Establish that that physical presence in the trenches, which, man, I thought, after the beginning of the game, I thought Arizona was more physical than Cincinnati. And I don't think none of us expected that.
No. And they set the tone right away with that interception and then scored. I think that is so important in this game, just kind of make Baylor play catch up. But then again, Baylor in their passing attack, even if they're playing catch up, they're always going to be in games.
That was only the 3rd time all season that Arizona won the coin toss. Did you know that?
Really? No, I didn't know that.
So they've started on offense in, I guess, 7 of the first 10 games. This is only the 3rd time that they won the toss and were able to defer and then get the ball, to start the second half. And then, hey, first play pick. And then, I think 2 plays later, they scored. So can't really do much better than that. As far
50, it was 7-0, 54 seconds into the game.
Yep.
And Arizona started on defense. You couldn't have asked for a better start. So with that being said, Lev, this is the first game at Casino del Sol Stadium. And it's the last game for a handful of seniors. There's going to be 28 seniors walking. And in my opinion, I think 2 really stand above the rest, just because these guys started their careers at Arizona and they're finishing their careers at Arizona. And Traydon Stukes, he could really write a book about his college career. His dad is an author and has written some books. Traydon is a bookworm as well. He revealed to us earlier this year. And, if you think about this, Lev, he started his career as a walk-on in 2020 playing for Kevin Sumlin. He actually played for Kevin Sumlin for 1 year. And during that year, not only was he a walk-on, but he was it was during a global pandemic. So it's your first year of playing college football. You're a walk-on. You got all these pandemic protocols. And on top of that, you're getting the doors blown off you every single week, minus the USC game. They were actually competitive in that game. But, from that point on, it was just a bad year. And then I remember seeing Traydon Stukes getting in the game in the 70-7 Territorial Cup. And at the time, I never thought that Traydon Stukes would turn out to be anything, with all due respect to him. And then all of a sudden, Jedd Fisch comes along. He becomes a pretty solid player, becomes a scholarship guy.
A dude. And
becomes a dude, according to Don Brown. And became this great cornerback and then moved to nickelback. And he's really thrived in that slot corner role. And, he was one of the guys that was on the play in the Alamo Bowl where Gunnar Maldonado returned it 87 yards.
And so was
Dalton Johnson. Yeah.
Yep.
Those 2 guys were a big part in that play. Gunnar Maldonado gets all the fame, rightfully so. He ran it back, but Dalton Johnson popped it out. Traydon Stukes was a lead blocker, and that play right there turned that whole game around. That was a completely momentum-shifting play. Arizona outscored Oklahoma, I think, 17 points in the fourth quarter. They win the Alamo Bowl. And then Stukes goes through another coaching transition. Jedd Fisch goes to Washington, and he decides to stay and play for Brent Brennan, but then he suffers a season-ending ACL injury. Last year was supposed to be his last year, and then he gets an ACL injury gets surgery, explores the transfer portal. Like some people forget about that. He went into the portal, but realized that, I just, if I'm going to be great, I could just be great at Arizona and just finish what I started. And Dalton Johnson was the same thing. He didn't actually play for Kevin Sumlin, but he was recruited by that staff, took a bunch of Zoom visits, never visited campus, and committed and signed. Even when Kevin Sumlin was fired, he was one of the guys that signed to the University of Arizona. And that says a lot about his commitment to the U of A. Like, he committed to a school, signed to a school, and not a coaching staff. And then became a starter, a mainstay in that defense. And, he's had many opportunities to leave, but he decided to stick it out. And they're also really good players too. So I think those two guys, with the way college athletics is nowadays, Lev, we got to celebrate the hell out of those two guys, because it's a rarity to see players that are playing 5-6 years of college football and guys who are really good, like at that level, and they're staying all the way through. I feel like those two guys are really the last of a dying breed. And if there's anybody who deserves a sold-out stadium this Saturday, I think it's Traden Stukes and Dalton Johnson.
If you're still not like totally on board with Brent Brennan as the head coach, come out to Casino del Sol Stadium.
Oh, that's right.
On Saturday to give Dalton Johnson, Traden Stukes, and the other seniors a proper send-off. Right? Look, it's not going to be hot. It's going to be about 65 degrees.
Beautiful.
On Saturday, might be a little bit of rain in the forecast that day.
Football weather.
So rain is an issue. The last time they had like a day game with rain was that Utah game. Remember that one where they wore those alternate uniforms and they kicked Utah's butt that day. So yeah, Arizona's had some bad luck with weather and kickoff times and so on and so forth. But I think this is a day to brave the elements, whatever they are, and come out and see the squad one last time. Something I always remember from back in my NFL days, covered, I think I mentioned this to you. I don't know if I mentioned it on the pod or not, but I think I did. Chargers, Bengals, playoff game. And one of the things that Phillip Rivers said, like after they lost that game, was like, this is the last time this team will be together. Right? It's like every single year is a different chapter. It's a different squad. It's a different composition of players. And hey, those two guys, pretty special. Like, they have a chance, if things really go well for Arizona this year, to be a part of two teams that won 10 games. And there have been 5 of those in program history.
Right? If they get to 10 this year.
If they get to 10, which is not, it's still mathematically in the cards that could happen. So yeah, Dalton and Traden, two true Wildcats for life.
Being a part of those 2 10-win teams and then also going through a 20-game losing streak at the same time, Lev, think about that. Like, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows of playing college football. Yeah, what a career for those two guys. And then, there's also the other guys, too, that are seniors who don't have the careers like Dalton Johnson or Traden Stukes, but still fan favorites, still guys that have had some impressive careers here. The one guy that stands out to me is Chuba Mai, who was a transfer from UC Davis, and he was one of the few guys who stuck with the Wildcats because he committed and signed to Jedd Fisch and that regime. And he said it during his press conference that, he got to campus and like a few days into being on campus, Jedd Fisch was gone and he was leaving. And, he was spending time with the team during that moment when everyone was wondering what the hell is going on. And Chuba said, sitting with those guys, hanging out with them, it felt like he was just back home, like just back hanging out with his cousins, back hanging out with his family. And he was like, if these guys stay, like, why wouldn't I stay? Like, I'm comfortable with these guys. These guys are my family. These guys are my brothers. I've been here for a short time and I feel the love here. And and Chuba stuck with it. He also moved positions, and I think has done a phenomenal job at left guard. He's been killing it at that spot this year. So I think about guys like Chuba Ma'ai, Ismail Mahdi, all the wide receivers. There's a lot of, guys that are favorites, but, we're only here for a season or two.
Yeah, Dalton said that he had a virtual visit. Like, he couldn't even come for his official visit because of the pandemic, and he didn't even know where Tucson was.
Yeah.
He could not have found it on a map, but certainly found himself here. One quick note on Stukes and Johnson. I just did a search on defensive backs in PFF playing at least 20% of 773 snaps. So lowest snap count here would be 155. Among that group of players, the number 1 and number 3 ranked defensive backs in the Big 12 by PFF grades would be Traden Stukes and Dalton Johnson.
Pretty solid.
So that's pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
All right, Lev. Now let's shift gears. All right, so
let's get a score update here.
Update from the studio here. So right now, Arizona goes into the halftime break. They are trailing. Oh, wait, no. There's 5 seconds left on the clock. Okay, so they called the timeout. And now I think what they're going to do, because Noah Fafita took off running, so the game is up to date with Noah Fafita's skill set, and Noah Fafita took off running. Oh, okay. Poor clock management, I guess. All right, halftime. 14-10. Baylor is leading Arizona.
Okay. All right.
We'll see if the Wildcats can get back into the contest here. But okay, let's talk about real games. Let's talk about what's happening this weekend in the Big 12 world with our good friend Jordan Hamm from Sports 360 AZ, who's joining us for Big 12 bewilderment.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Just another day, another crazy news thing of our players going, our coaches going, ultimatums in the middle of the season. Just college football's wild right now.
Yep.
Just so you know, Jordy, Justin is doing the College Football 26 simulation of the Arizona-Baylor game during the podcast. He is providing score updates for us. So if you hear him say something crazy like, let's check in and see what's going on in the Arizona-Baylor game, that is what's happening.
The man's multitasking. Okay, he covers a lot of ground in a day.
He does. Yes, I think the third quarter is about to begin. Arizona's down 14-10. So
yep.
We'll see if they're able to rally. Speaking of rallies, hey, we didn't do too badly last week as a collective. I was 3-3 against the spread, which is a freaking miracle the way things have gone this year. Jordan was also 3-3. Justin, after a couple really rough weeks, was 4-2.
Nice.
Oh, he's back.
So that means that Justin is now 1 game out of first place at 40-44. Jordan is in first, 41-43. I am bringing up the rear at 35-49, and not a lot of weeks left to make up ground. Straight up this past week, I was 5-1. Justin was 5-1. Jordan was 4-2. So for the season, Jordan, Justin 58-26, first place. I'm 57-27, and Jordan's 56-28. So that is a very tight 1 game difference as we go from first place to third place. So this week we have 7 games, and it starts off at 10 a.m. with Kansas and Iowa State. This game is on FS1. It is in Ames, and the Cyclones are favored by 4.5 points. They're both 3-4 in the Big 12. Iowa State has clinched bowl eligibility at 6-4. Kansas has not. They are 5-5, both coming off a bye. When I do my research, guys, I look for in the Big 12 rankings, various statistics, kind of like who's near the top and who's near the bottom, right? And those are the things that I would note. These two teams are like pretty much neither near the top nor the bottom in much of anything. They're both kind of mid, both kind of blah. Have had kind of, unremarkable seasons, I guess you would say. There certainly have been some bright spots, like Carson Hansen is having a very good year for Iowa State as a running back, averaging 80.1 yards per game. Jalen Daniels is second in the Big 12 in passing efficiency with a 21-3 touchdown interception ratio, 65.1% completions. Rocco Beck, not so good. 13th in the league in passing efficiency, which is just shocking based on how he started the year. Just a 12-9 TD to INT ratio, 59.9% completion rate. I am going to take Kansas with the points in this one. Iowa State to win would not surprise me in the least if the Jayhawks won, just kind of figuring it'll be like a field goal type of game. So I will take the 4.5 points and take the Cyclones to win and the Jayhawks to cover.
When you get into these kind of games where it's very evenly matched, I more lean towards quarterback play, and I just trust Jalen Daniels more in this game. Ever since that Arizona game, Rocco Beck's a little broken. I don't know what's going on with our guy. 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions since that Arizona game. So he has taken an enormous step back, but which is crazy because like we've seen just how good he can be. So there's something there with Rocco Beck. I'm not ready to completely write him off as a quarterback, but if you look at his struggles over the last month, woof. Kind of it's like a little bit like Noah Fafita from 2024. But Rocco Beck's got another year of eligibility, so maybe there's a Prince Charming out there. There's a Seth Dagey for Rocco Beck that can maybe fix him for next season. So I'm going to go with Kansas to win this game and take care of business on the road.
Yeah, I'm right in line with both of you. I think these are two teams that I'm just like, it's just hard to differentiate. Like week to week, they'll look pretty good, and then it's just like, what is going on? So I trust Daniels more than I do Beck right now. So I will take Kansas to go ahead and win by a touchdown.
How about that? Kansas winning on the road. Would not that be that big of a shocker? I mean, Iowa State's just been one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year. Baylor and Arizona are in the 11 a.m. window on TNT, and we will skip that game until the end, as is custom. So that'll put us into the 2:00 block. 3 games starting at 2:00 Mountain Time. First one, TCU at number 23 Houston. The spread is only 1.5 points. Houston continues to get little to zero respect. Maybe it's because they're 5-0 on the road and only 3-2 at home, which is certainly an oddball statistic. The last time we saw them was in a Friday night game where they won the space game over UCF, which is something that maybe some of us saw coming. I think Jordy had Houston in that one, and we of course did not, Justin, because we believed in the power of the space game. And I don't know what happened. There were some issues. The warp drive was not functioning properly. Anyway, TCU's lost 2 in a row. They got killed at BYU last week. It was 447 to 298 yards, 28 to 15 in first downs. The worst game of the season for Josh Hoover, 10 for 23 for a $183 with 2 picks. We know what Houston is all about, right? They're pretty buttoned up. They've got some pretty good playmakers around Connor Wegman with Dean Connors and Amari Thomas. And I'm going to take Houston in this one. They still have a chance to kind of sneak in to the Big 12 title game if things go their way. I just feel like it's a good value. 1.5. Like I would have figured this would be somewhere in the 5 or 6 point range. So give me the Cougs, lay the 1.5.
Yeah, I don't think they have an answer for Amari Thomas. And Amari Thomas, like if you look at the last couple of games, because he had 3 catches for 25 yards against ASU, just kind of was very quiet. But in that loss to West Virginia, 10 catches, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. In that game against UCF, 5 catches, 103 yards, and 1 touchdown. I mean, Amari Thomas is legitimately one of the best receivers in the Big 12, and I just don't think that TCU has an answer for him. And I think Connor Wegman in that passing game, they get going, and I think they win.
I'm going to subscribe to the body blow theory. TCU is coming off a shellacking from BYU, and you have Houston coming off the bye. So I think they're going to be fresh. They can show physicality as well. And Thomas is a great option on the outside. So I'll go ahead and take Houston.
Yeah, one more note about this game. TCU, they're still third in the Big 12 in third down conversion percentage, despite going 1 for 10 on third down against BYU last week, which is not a formula for success. Houston is number 4 in the league in third down defense. Okay. Also in the 2 p.m. window, we have got Oklahoma State against UCF. This will
be quick.
This is the ESPN Plus game, in case you were wondering, right? The Knights are favored by 14.5. So did you guys know that UCF has only one win in the Big 12? They're just 1-6, just one game better than OSU, which is 0-7 in the Big 12. As we know, Taven Jackson came back for that shellacking at Texas Tech. That was a bad pick on my part. That game was never in doubt, never close. He actually did complete 27 of 33 passes in that game for only 178 yards. He is last among qualifiers in the Big 12 in passing efficiency at 122.2. His counterpart in this game, Zane Flores, who doesn't have enough attempts to qualify, is worse at 106.6. So would not expect a lot of offense in this game. I am going to hold off on my pick until I hear what you guys are doing, as I do not have strong conviction on this one. And if you guys are in alignment, I'm just going to go the other way. So, Justin, 14.5 is the spread, UCF against Oklahoma State in Orlando.
Man, this is just like one of those like football NFL games where it's like the Jaguars versus the Saints or something like that. I just don't really care for this matchup. But with that being said, UCF has lost the last 3 games. But they got killed by Texas Tech. They got killed by Baylor. Both of those games were on the road. As far as home games, outside of I think every single home game they've either won or it's been a 1 possession game. So I like UCF at home, take care of business against Oklahoma State.
Lay in the points?
Yep. Laying the points.
Jordy.
17.
I feel like the past 4 weeks, anytime I pick a spread against Oklahoma State or I take the points, whatever, I'm just wrong. So I don't have a ton of confidence that UCF can win by more than 2 touchdowns. So against the spread, I will go Oklahoma State, but straight up, I will go UCF.
Okay, so I can't really go totally against the grain here. I'll go with Jordy on this one. I'll take UCF to win and OSU to beat the spread. I mean, last week, hey, they were feisty, right? 14-6 against Kansas State, and they outgained Kansas State in that game. So maybe there's some signs of life from the Cowboys just yet. It might be a tall task for UCF to score enough points to cover that 14.5 point spread. All right. One more game in the 2:00 window. This is Kansas State at number 12, Utah. This game is in Salt Lake City. It's on ESPN2. The Red Hot Utes are favored by 17.5 points in this game. Kansas State is 5-5 after that 14-6 win at OSU last week. So one more for bowl eligibility. Utah's 8-2. They're hot, but they're kind of stuck. They lost to BYU and they lost to Texas Tech. If BYU wins at Cincinnati, I think though that it's going to be a BYU Texas Tech rematch in the Big 12, and Utah might be on the outside looking in for the college football playoff as well, even though they are probably one of the best 12 teams in the country. And they are certainly one of the 2 best teams or 3 best teams, I would say, in the Big 12. Number 2 in scoring offense and defense, number 2 in total offense, number 1 in rushing offense. I mean, they average 278.4 rushing yards per game. The next closest is 195. As mentioned earlier in the podcast, 380 rushing yards against Baylor. I mean, they were just 8 for 16 passing in that game for 103 yards, and they scored 55 points. My guy, Bird Ficklin.
Bird Ficklin, man.
Bird.
6 carries for 166 yards, including touchdowns, of 67 and 74 yards in that game against Baylor. They are working him into the offense, and that dude is a stud and one of the next stars of college football. Utah's going to win this game. Whether they're going to win by 17.5 points or more is to be determined, and I'm going to wait to see what you guys have to say about it before
Lev's doing it again. He's doing it again. All right. This is when you were like, oh, this other game in the 2:00 window, and I had my eyes on that one. I was like, oh, this is going to be quick. Because Bird Ficklin, your guy, is so electric right now, and he is one of my favorite players in college football to watch. Like, he is like that, though he's setting himself up for one hell of a campaign next year when he takes over at quarterback. And then I also look at it like this, kind of the same way that I picked UCF. I mean, if you look at just kind of Utah and just how they perform at home. So, of course, they lost to Texas Tech earlier in the year. And, I mean, Texas Tech is a really good team, right? They're going to be in the college football playoff probably. But outside of that loss to Texas Tech, let's look at some of their wins at home. They beat Cal Poly 63-9. They beat ASU 42-10. They beat Colorado 53-7. Cincinnati 45-14. Yeah, they kick ass at home. And so I'm not going to go against the grain here. Give me Utah to win, take care of business. They win by 3 touchdowns. But with that being said, Kansas State, I think they win next week because they have their home finale. And I think they win that game, and that's how they get to bowl eligibility.
How many change of pace running quarterbacks do you think there have been in college football? Like, they deploy their running quarterbacks like they do running or quarterbacks like they do running backs. Like, it is wild what Utah is doing. I saw someone on Twitter this past weekend. I forgot who it was, but they just said Utah dismantles mediocre teams better than maybe anybody else in the country. And I think that's such a great description of what that team does. So I'm going to take Utah. I think they're going to win by more than 17.5. And this is just one of those dominant teams. And, you know, you look at the total on this one that you sent out, Lev, 52.5. Like, I don't think it's all that crazy that Utah by themselves gets to 52.5 on this one.
Well, given that you guys are both taking Utah, I will take Kansas State to beat the spread. Maybe Utah's just kind of due for a so-so performance. And Kansas State's pretty physical as a program, so maybe they can handle it a little bit. It is a very interesting offense to watch because they do not have any sort of traditional drop back passing game. It's a lot of quarterback run. It's a lot of jet sweeps and jet sweep motion to kind of throw off the defense. Almost like a military academy with better players, you know? Yeah. And of course, they're really good on defense too. Okay, we have 2 games in the 6:00 window. The first one is kind of the game of the week in the Big 12. That's BYU at Cincinnati. This game is on Fox. Fox's pregame show is going to be in Cincinnati this week. BYU, they are ranked 11th in the country. They only have 1 loss on the season, so they are firmly in the mix for the college football playoff. I think if they win out and then win against Texas Tech, that is probably the only way that the Big 12 gets 2 teams into the college football playoff. In pretty much every other scenario, if Texas Tech ends up winning against anybody else, it's just going to be Tech. And it'll be a 1-bid league again. BYU, they finished the season at home against UCF. So if they can win at Cincinnati, they're in a great position. This is not the first time, that BYU's been in the East Coast this year. Early in the season, they went to East Carolina. They won easily, and you might dismiss that, but you know what? The Pirates are 7-3. So that is not a bad win on your resume at all. Bear Bachmeier seems unaffected by just about any circumstance that he's into. He's had only 1 game this season with a completion percentage of less than 59.1%. Do you know which game that is, Justin?
Oh, man. Is it?
That's the Arizona game.
The Arizona game? Okay.
Yes. This is what Danny Gonzalez does to opposing quarterbacks. Brendan Thorsby kind of struggled last week against the Wildcats. His last 2 games, 26 of 61, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. I have seen both of these teams play. quite a bit this year. We've seen both of them play against Arizona. I just think BYU is better.
Yeah.
Period. Straight up. They're favored by 2.5 points on the road. I think they can easily win by a field goal or more. So I'm going to take the Cougs. I think they're just a better team.
Yeah, boy, did Arizona really pop Cincinnati's bubble with that win, because this was supposed to be the game where it's like, all right, winner goes to the Big 12 championship game. I mean, there's still something to that effect, but I mean, Arizona just kind of rained on that parade for what could have been, a college game day game, all eyes, all the college football attention is on what's going on at Nippert Stadium. With that being said, I agree with you, Lev. I think that BYU is just a better team. What they do, that kind of stuff travels on the road. And so I feel like, they're going to figure out ways to get to Brendan Sorsby. Just like Arizona, they have a really good passing defense. They lead the Big 12 alongside Arizona in interceptions this year. So we'll see if Brendan Sorsby can clean things up against a really tough BYU team. But I think the Cougars and the Big 12, I feel like they really want BYU to win this game to make it a very interesting Big 12 championship game between BYU and Texas Tech.
I'm here for the chaos. Brendan Sorsby has had 2 very, very bad games. I think that this is a wake-up call for this team, and I think they upset BYU. And then all of a sudden, this last week, all eyes are going to be on the Big 12 of who's going to essentially probably be the team that plays Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, Jordan is always the agent of chaos in our little group here. And if that happened, man, you have the possibility of some tiebreaker scenarios coming into play, because as things stand right now, Cincinnati, ASU, Houston, Utah all have 2 losses in league play. BYU and Texas Tech have 1. So that would definitely throw a wrench into things and make it a lot more complicated to figure out who will be in the Big 12 championship game. All right, one more game at 6 o'clock. This is ASU at Colorado. This game is on ESPN2, and the number 25 Sun Devils are favored by 7.5 points in this game. Man, a lot of news in Tempe this week, Jordy. What is the situation with Sam Levitt?
Just a little. So the situation with Sam Levitt, really anyone's guess right now of what it actually is. But on Tuesday, there was a report, multiple reports, that it was doubtful that Sam Levitt would be returning to ASU, that he was getting, quote, shopped around. His brother and representative came out and said that was not true. They don't know what he's going to do yet. A lot of questions of, is this a play for higher NIL or higher resources? Is this he wants to move on? There are theories of that really means that Kenny Dillingham's moving to LSU and he's taking Sam Levitt with him. So there's a lot of stuff just out there right now on the future of Sam Levitt and kind of where ASU stands. Kenny Dillingham spoke today about that, spoke on Wednesday. And it really was, I love Sam. He's my guy. I'm focused on Colorado because we are in the hunt. You mentioned the potential of maybe making a college or the Big 12 championship. ASU certainly needs some help, but they're technically still in it. So that was kind of the message was love Sam. Everything I've said about him is true. But we need to go try to focus on Colorado.
Also, Jordan Tyson is practicing. I saw a video that someone posted and he looked pretty good. Do you think he's going to be back this week?
I don't know if he's going to be full go. But I could see where he's on the field and, maybe he has a pitch count, maybe he's being used as a decoy. The dynamic from what I understand right now is Kenny Dillingham, I think and the coaching staff is trying to be a bit more cautious with Tyson than Tyson wants to be. Like he wants to, what football player doesn't want to be out on the field and, maybe be a little bit reckless in terms of their recovery. But they are really trying to slow play this thing. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how he fits into this offense because Jeff Sims has really done a nice job spreading the ball around to other receivers. and the tight end position and get that run game going. So if he does play, it'll be interesting to see where he fits in and if he's limited at all.
So in a very narrow victory over West Virginia last week, Jeff Sims did pretty well. All right, he was 19 for 28, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He rushed for 77 yards, which, wasn't the 228 or whatever he had at Iowa State, but still pretty darn good and a lot of work. His counterpart in this game will be the freshman, Julian Lewis, who in his first start at West Virginia did pretty well himself. He went 22 of 35, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Now, he was sacked 7 times in that game. Colorado played without both of its starting tackles, including star left tackle Jordan Seaton. I checked in with Colorado beat reporter Brian Howell and about the status of those tackles, and he said unknown. We'll find out more when the availability report comes out Wednesday night. So that's a big one. So ASU, guys, okay? There are 3 teams in the Big 12 that have 7-3 records. All right. Those 3 teams are ASU, Cincinnati, and Arizona. The point differential for Arizona is plus 124. The point differential for Cincinnati is plus 117. Point differential for ASU is plus 11. Okay. There are 8 teams that have records in the Big 12 of 4-3 or better in conference play. Only one of them has a negative point differential. That would be ASU at minus 23. If those 5 wins that ASU has in Big 12 play have come by 3, 4, 5, and 2 points. So 2 threes, a 4, a 5, and a 2. They have been remarkably good at winning close games. Their luck is going to run out eventually. I say it happens this week. There are definitely some red flags in picking Colorado to upset the 25th ranked Sun Devils, especially the Buffalo's inability to stop the run. But yeah. I'm taking prime in this one. I'm going with the Buffs. Upsets, field storming, all that good stuff. Colorado wins outright as a 7.5 point underdog.
I just look at the last time that they played against a team with a mobile quarterback, and that was against Utah, and the Utes had 422 rushing yards against Buffalo. Your boy Bird Ficklin, he's like our legend on this podcast. 20 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown. So I think Jeff Sims replicates some of that magic, and I think ASU gets it done.
Yeah, I think it feels like ASU is that clip from one of the Austin Powers where it's I too like to live dangerously. Like it's just, gosh, watching that West Virginia game, it was like they get the 2 longest plays of the year came for the defense to give up came against West Virginia. And one of them was on a 3rd and 27. But this defense is predicated on not giving up big plays. I think the defense is just too good against Colorado. I'll take Arizona State's, and they cover. I think this is a 10-point win at least for ASU.
All right, I like it. I'm on an island here, like Michael Dansby last week against Cincinnati. Justin, just Lev Island.
I love it.
Let's see how that goes. All right. Last game, Baylor at Arizona on TNT at 11 a.m. Rain in the forecast for Tucson. We have no luck when it comes to weather for this season. Hopefully no lightning or anything of that nature. We can deal with a little bit of rain. It's November. It's football. It's totally fine. That's probably actually advantage Wildcats if that is the case. We have talked about this game aplenty during the pod. Jordan, what are your thoughts on the Baylor-Arizona matchup?
I'm going to be really interested to see how this Baylor defense can keep pace with, I feel like, an Arizona offense that is really peaking at the right time and looks probably the most balanced it has this year, or, one of the most times. And then, the arithmetic doesn't change with Baylor. It's if you can get to Sawyer Robertson and you can slow down that pass game a little bit, you're going to be in a pretty decent chance to go ahead and win this. So it sure feels like Arizona is clicking in all cylinders. I'm hopeful. I really want this to be a great territorial cup matchup. So I really hope for both of these teams, this isn't a look ahead scenario, but I think Arizona is going to win. But I think Baylor's going to cover. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Arizona's going to take it.
All right. Here's where I'm at right now regarding Arizona. I mean, the injuries do concern me. They do. But the guys who stepped in that game against Cincinnati, I thought were great. Like the defensive backs, I thought were solid. I thought that Matthew Lotto stepping in for Tristan Bounds, he does not look like the Matthew Lotto that we saw a year ago. Like Brent Brennan said last year, Matthew Lotto is a big man, but he's also a young man. And I think he also learned from that experience. And I think in the moments that we've seen him play this year, he's been solid at tackle. So whether it's Tristan Bounds, whether it's Matthew Lotto, I think that Arizona has depth this year, which is something that they did not have last year. They can, kind of take a couple injuries and take some hits and still be able to win football games. And then Arizona's defense in this 3-game winning streak, they have given up a total of 10 points in the fourth quarter, 23 points in the second half. The Wildcats are giving up an average of 3.8 points in the third and fourth quarter during this stretch. So defense is lights out in the second half. At home, I think they get some magic going. I think that it's going to be a decent crowd at Arizona Stadium. And I mean, what a way to celebrate Traden Stukes and Dalton Johnson, two just absolute legends for the Arizona Wildcats. And, there's a lot of seniors on this team that I think are worth celebrating. And it should be a fun Saturday morning / Saturday afternoon at Arizona Stadium. And I think the Wildcats it'll be a close game. Like, I think that, Arizona will win because what's the final spread, Lev?
6.5.
6.5. I think they'll cover, but like by a nose. It'll be like a 34-27 type of ball game, maybe a 40-30, 40-33 type of ball game. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats to win and cover, but not by much.
So this is the matchup between the best passing offense and the best passing defense in the Big 12.
Heavyweights, man.
Baylor averages 324.4 passing yards per game. Arizona allows 159.5, roughly half of what Baylor puts up, in a given week. Arizona has held 8 opponents to under 200 passing yards in this game. If they hold Baylor to under 200 passing yards, just give the Broyles Award to Danny Gonzalez. Just like
truly
stop the voting. Like
Seriously.
Just invite get the guy a plane ticket for wherever that ceremony takes place, because that would be really something. I think it's an interesting and dangerous Baylor team that has a lot of talent, has a lot of weapons, can move the ball even against the best of defenses. A little bit self-destructive with turnovers and other issues. I think Arizona's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be sort of similar to the Kansas game. Back and forth, a little tighter than everybody would hope. So I'm going to take Arizona to win, but like Jordy, I'm going to take Baylor to cover. I think it'll be like, 34-30 or 37-35 or something of that nature.
Cool. All right.
What's going on in your simulation there?
I was going to say, so Baylor, they just missed a late field goal, but they're up 31-20 with like 38 seconds left.
No, not looking good.
And the Wildcats don't have any timeouts. They burned all their timeouts. Obviously, the 2-minute warning has passed. And so Arizona, they're doing whatever they can to get down the field and see if they can rally from a 2-possession deficit, but doesn't look good for the Wildcats. In college football 26, they like the Baylor Bears to win this one.
Do you think in college football 27 they're going to have Brent Brennan's saddle shoes?
Those are his jam.
They definitely need
Swaggy.
more. Yeah, the coaches need more stuff. They need more gear. Like, and no matter what the weather is, Brent Brennan on my dynasty, he's just wearing a polo. I'm like, can we get the guy like a hoodie or something or a jacket, like for a late season game at Colorado or Cincinnati?
I remember in the preseason, I sent Justin a couple photos. You could edit the coach's attire where I had Dillingham in like the sleeveless hoodie, but nothing underneath. So it was just like, he was almost like the Todd from Scrubs, where he was just like, he had the gun show going.
So Noah Fafita throws a pick.
Nope. Oh no.
And Baylor is victorious in Tucson. And if that is what happens in real life, then Baylor will get to bowl eligibility.
It's because if you look at the team ratings, I bet you Baylor has a higher team rating.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
On this team, right? But it isn't always like just the most high-end talent that wins. It's the best team that wins. And I think Arizona is just a better team than Baylor, like the sum of the parts greater than the whole, or however that works.
Yeah.
I think that's the Wildcats this year.
So real quick.
Yeah.
If let's assume ASU Arizona wins this upcoming week, what do you think the line is for the Territorial Cup?
ASU wins handily or another close game?
7.1.
ASU minus 2.5.
Yeah, I was going to say ASU somewhere like by a field goal ish.
Yeah, that's right where I have it too. So
I ranked ASU ahead of Arizona in my top 25 this week because I just feel like they have a better resume.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Arizona is a better team today, though.
Yeah,
just
certainly
if you just
healthier.
Put them out. Yes, if you just put them out there on the field, I think Arizona is better today. ASU, they beat Texas Tech. They beat Iowa State. Arizona lost to Iowa State. Otherwise, their resumes are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd say about a field goal.
Okay.
Are you going to Colorado, Jordy?
I'm actually going to be in Tucson this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah. See you down in the old Pueblo, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Should be a fun one Saturday morning at Casino del Sol Stadium, 11 a.m., Arizona versus Baylor. One last time from Tucson. Let's see if the Wildcats can beat the Baylor Bears, or we'll see if Baylor can get to bowl eligibility.
Are we going to have like slot machine sound effects Saturday when Arizona scores a touchdown or gets a first down?
Jackpot.
Oh, man.
Or like a blocked field goal. It's like the house always wins.
All right. Make sure you subscribe to the Wildcast podcast. Jordy, we appreciate you as always for stopping by, man.
Absolutely. Had a blast.
All right. Catch all of our coverage of the Arizona Wildcats football program on Tucson.com and the Wildcaster mobile app.